Did you know that you now have to track time and attendance of all of your staff who are on salaries in certain industries? That's right, you do. It's hard to keep up with compliance when 1, there's pages and pages of legal jargon, and 2, when those pages and pages of legal jargon keep changing. So, to keep you up to date with what you need to know when it comes to the modern awards, we've decided to create a video and run through the topic of annualised salaries. But before we start, I want to stress the importance of payroll compliance. This video is intended for general guidance. You should always consult with a qualified payroll professional or accountant who can provide you with the tailored advice you need to your circumstances. If you're paying your employees according to an annualised salary arrangement, you'll want to take note of the latest changes because there are a few new processes you'll need to follow. And the last thing you'll want to deal with is the Fair Work Commission knocking on your door. An annualised salary arrangement is when an employer agrees to pay their employee an annual salary that includes all entitlements like minimum wages, allowances, overtime, and penalty rates and things like leave loading. So instead of paying each entitlement separately, the annualised salary arrangement specifies that the employer will pay the employee one annualised salary that covers all of the award entitlements. One of the biggest issues the Fair Work Commission has with annualised salary arrangements is that many employers have been taking advantage and underpaying their employees. So they introduced a few different processes that employers have to follow to stay compliant. The changes are specifically directed at employers in industries where the employees are vulnerable and more likely to be disadvantaged. That's why the provisions have been introduced in some awards and not others. We've left a link in our bio so that you can access the list of modern awards that the changes apply to. Okay, the first step of the new annualised salary process involves talking to your employee about the arrangement. You'll also need to advise your employee in writing of the total annualised salary amount that will be paid, which entitlements have been included in that amount, and how the total has been calculated. Step 2 requires you to make sure that the total annualised salary amount is the same, in other words, not less than the amount the employee would have received based on receiving the entitlements individually under the modern award. You'll also need to conduct an annual audit, so every 12 months, where you compare the total annualised salary amount you paid to your employer with the amount that the employee would have received under the modern award. If there is a shortfall, in other words, you've paid them too little, you must make the payment to the employee within 14 days. Of course, to conduct an accurate audit, you need a paper trail. You need to keep the records of when the employees started and finished work each day, and when they took their unpaid meal breaks. You'll then need to keep that paper trail for 7 years, just in case Fair Work wants to check up on you. Keeping a record can end up being a nightmare for employers, especially if you haven't had to keep a record of time and attendance up until now. But it's all in the name of staying compliant. So to keep records without having the hassle, you may want to consider going for an automated time and attendance solution. So rather than having to manually check paper timesheets against an annualised salary arrangement, which most employers generally end up having to do, every pay cycle, the process will be automated for you. This means that you'll only have to make the comparison once a year and then just adjust accordingly. We've left a link in our bio to a time and attendance solution called NoahFace, which we highly recommend. Before I finish off, I just want to remind you how important it is to keep accurate records of your actual hours your staff have worked. Don't get caught up in a compliance war with the Fair Work Commission, especially if there's a simple solution to stay on top of your annualised salaries. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions about the annualised salary changes, or you're interested in putting your time and attendance process on autopilot to save you time and money, get in touch with us at PayCat for a free assessment. See you next time.